So the first thing that I like to do before I start working on a car is lay out the tools that I'm going to need for the job. So what I use to take the headliner down on a 2021 Toyota Corolla, and don't get me wrong, there are many ways to do this, but this is just what works best for me. If you find something that works better for you, that's totally fine. But this is what works the best for me. So I use a Phillips head. I do it on an impact. You can do a regular Phillips head screwdriver. It's totally fine. I just find this quickens up the process of it. I use a X-Acto knife, a clip tool remover, I believe that's what they're called, clip pliers, spoon tool, and a little 180-degree pick. And then I like to use a headlamp. I find it helps me see better, be more accurate, makes things easier for me. And that's all we need to take this sucker apart. Alright, we've got a 2021 Toyota Corolla here, sunroofless. We are going to take the headliner down on this vehicle. Very fresh looking, very clean. Don't think it's been down before. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is take the visor off. On this, you're going to need a Phillips. And what I typically use for these is they have a little tab on the back of them that you can push in, and then they'll just spin off like that. Perfect. And we set it somewhere we can remember it. It does have a little receptacle. I typically use a spoon tool to disengage. So it's got two prongs on either side. So I'll disengage one side. So I'm going to disengage one tong, hold it, but just a little bit of pressure on, and then it'll pop out when you do the others. Now that that's out, we can go to our visor, and now you can use a regular Phillips head screwdriver, but I like to use the impact. It's easier. Just careful that you don't slip off and damage the headliner. And now I'll flip it back so I can expose the second screw. And then if you just wiggle it, it'll pop off. Be very careful because these have a electrical connection on them that powers the vanity slider here. And I'll just set it there. You can leave this in its place. Next, what I'll do is just grab in behind here. If you're just gentle enough, it'll release. Just like that. And then on pretty much all Toyotas, this just slides downwards. And then you'll have two electrical connections here. And I just pop my thumb into them and press upwards to pull out. Okay, the next thing to take apart here, let me zoom out, is the overhead console. On this is literally just 4 clips upwards facing into the roof of the vehicle. Just careful of the lights here because they can chip off if you're too aggressive. But I usually take this clip tool and I'll just kind of run it into the edge of the console and kind of twist down. Okay, and once it's down, so you see those upwards facing clips, sometimes they get stuck up in the receptacles in the roof and you'll have to pull them out with something like these, like a clip plier. So then on this one, there's just one connection. It's pretty easy. Just gonna pull it out. And there's your overhead console. Just set it up there. Now we've got our vanity mirror, vanity hook, and overhead console off. I'm gonna repeat it on this side. And we're gonna do the handles next. Okay, so for the grab handles in the vehicle, you need you can either use a 90-degree pick or a 180-degree pick like this. And there's a little corner on each of these where you can just sort of pick it off and then put pressure on it with your finger, and then they'll just pop off. And it's just a little plastic tab. I'll repeat that on the other side. And pop it off.
Misty smells like a newborn today.
And then I'll switch to a spoon tool and I'll press up on the metal tongue on the inside, and then I put pressure from the bottom side so that it doesn't click back in, and then I do it again on the top and it just pops out, and then we repeat the process. Again, and it'll pop off from those metal tabs so that those go inside of here. And what I usually do is I'll just go in and I'll pinch it and twist back and forth, and then it'll pop the metal prongs out. And then I'll reset them like this, just the metal tabs, pinch them, push them in place. You'll know because it'll snap in on the plastic tab here. And then we'll grab our little plastic covers for the reset, and then when you're ready to go, they'll just pop back into place. Okay, so now that you have your front grab handles off, center console, vanity mirrors and hooks, all your electricals are apart at the front, then we can take off our overhead light here. So I don't know if the video picks it up, it does. So there's these little tabs here where you can kind of just pop your spoon in, and then this will come right off. Set that aside somewhere safe, and then we've got two like little tangs holding this to the roof. You can see it just slides forward. There you go, and it'll actually just release it from the roof. You can see it there, it's released. And again, slide forward, and sometimes it needs a little bit of downwards. Okay, and it's actually released full. You don't have to pull it any further off than that. Turn it off, so not to drain the car battery. And then I'm going to remove these rear grab handles, same process as the fronts. And now that our rear grab handles are off and our center light are down, all that's left holding the headliner to the car are three little clips at the very back here. And again, we use our trusty spoon. And these are little two-stage clips, so you can just pop the ring down. It'll pop out like that. I'm going to do it for all three of them. There you go. And one more time. And there we go. And once that's popped, we can take our little clip tool, clip pliers, and go from the bottom. Make sure it's popped out enough or it won't pop out. And easy peasy, and it's got the little prongs at the bottom there. And I'll put them somewhere safe and repeat the process. So that's all released. The next part is to untuck and drop the headliner. Now there are multiple different ways to do this, but for the sake of speed, typically we will untuck from the pillars. Now most bodymen will remove the pillars just to make sure that they don't scratch or mar them up, but if you are experienced, it's pretty easy to get these down without doing so. So what I usually use is our little clip tool here, and I will pull the headliner out from the rubber moldings around the door. All right, take our clip tool here, make sure this is all released, and we'll just be really gentle here, guys, really, really gentle. And I like to keep a little tension so it doesn't try to pop back into its place there. And there we go, and there's just one little tab at the bottom here. Just make sure not to put too much pressure or you will get that creasing in the headliner there. And now this is free. We're gonna move to the front one. And same thing with the front one. Just make sure it's released on both sides from the weather strip here. And super gentle. All right, now that that's all released there, we should be able to pull it out from the other side. So now that we can see both B and C pillars are released on both sides, and it's still hung up here. You know, this is the passenger side of the vehicle, and it is very difficult to see, but you can see there's tape holding the wiring to the headliner, but there's tape at the very edge here, and maybe you can see it. I'll pull it forward a little. Yeah, you can see it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little X-Acto knife here, and I am going to cut the tape very gently around the tab on the headliner, because the headliner fabric is there, and you have to be very careful, otherwise you'll be able to see the cut mark on it. And now that I have that off here, I should be able to see the tape and the tab that I'm talking about. Alrighty, and now you can see from the inside here, what I've done is I've put the back seats down and reclined and moved the front seats forward so that this can drop down and has room. Because what I'm doing is granting access for PDR for hail damage. So now I just gotta pull the fronts out of the front pillars, and they too will have tape on the corners. You can probably see it in the video there. So I'm very carefully going to take that X-Acto knife again and do that on both corners here to release it fully. Hang on. Okay, and now that those tabs have been released for that tape, the front comes down nicely. There's a little bit of tape holding it on the corners here. Don't be afraid to peel that up so that it has some room to come down. And that's it. That's removing the headliner on a 2021 Toyota Corolla. Thanks for watching.